Scratches. Self-inflicted. When we admitted her, she was clawing at her skin. So strong. So strong. Her vitals are all perfect. Even under testing, we have observed a pulse rate rise above 85. Physically, she's strong. The comfort of home will be the best medicine to help return her from this locked-in state.
Hey, Charlie, do you want to feast on me? Come on, taste it.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to an exciting episode of Citizen Frame. We got a little treat here before we start. When robots go bad month, we recently saw The Mummy. Lee Cronin's The Mummy, that is, and we wanted to wait, because we like to see a movie twice. Because I was on the fence with it, and now it's on demand, so I was able to view it again, and now I have my review for The Mummy. So I look forward to unwrapping this.
Oh, boom. Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Good one. It's very early in the morning, by the way, and I'm very tired. So you're fucking welcome, people. I'm going to sip my coffee here.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
It's like a coffee ad, like one of those old Nescafe ads, Waiting Kieran, get the coffee beans and shaking them to his ear.
Well, that's in the States, Folgers was the coffee growing up with. And Folgers always has, what was the ad campaign? It was, the best part of waking up is Folgers in your life, or cup, or something like that.
Wow, well, that was perfectly done. Now, over here we had Nescafe with Giles from Buffy. The mentor guy from Buffy. What's his name again? Oh, I forget. Anthony something?
I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway.
Isn't it Anthony Heed?
Yes.
Anthony.
Yeah, he was also one of an episode of Doctor Who. As an evil headmaster.
We don't give a fuck. You know what? We're just talking about.
Oh, but you give a fuck about
just
coffee?
talking up. I'm having a good bad. I'd take a sip of coffee. You bring it up. Second ad. I'd bring up an ad growing up as a kid. That's relevant. You go to fucking Buffy and Doctor fucking Who, and now I'm waiting for Neighbors.
I'd tie everything in, Anyway, we're talking about The Mummy, I think.
Yeah, Lee Cronin is The Mummy. All right, let's get one thing off the table. Lee Cronin isn't arrogant. He isn't a deuce putting his name above the title. That wasn't his choice.
James Wan, apparently.
James Wan and Blumhouse said, let's call it Lee Cronin as The Mummy because we don't want people to be confused with the Brendan Fraser franchise. This isn't, the Universal Mummy. This is something different.
And they wanted
so that's why
basically differentiate.
Yeah, that's why I said different.
Yes.
Wow.
I was agreeing with you, and you attacked me.
So, yeah, Lee, so far he's done well. Evil Dead Rise was a massive fucking hit, and actually quite beloved to the point where it's probably one of the most, if not the most liked of the Evil Dead franchise.
I really enjoyed it.
And it's resurged. Well, in all fairness, I think the 2012 reboot / remake resurged it. But then we're getting Evil Dead Burns, and then we got another one coming next year. So he definitely helped light a fire underneath that. Underneath that franchise.
I've seen one of his previous films as well, The Hole in the Ground, which
I hate that movie.
I wouldn't say I hated it, but I wasn't that impressed.
Just say you hate it.
No, I wasn't that impressed with it, but I wouldn't.
For once, I want you to say you hate it. You never say hate. Oh, I wouldn't say that, to be fair.
Because I am fair, and to hate a film, it would have to be particularly bad. But
I want to know. Right. I want to know what film that is, because you like shit. So it's like, I like Return of Samuel's Lot is fucking. I hate that film. It's terrible. But you're like, well, to be fair. So I want to know, what's the movie you have to hate?
What movies do I hate?
What is it? Give me one movie, because I'm just curious. What is it? Because you seem to like everything.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
What?
Yeah, I think it's absolute rubbish.
That's a classic.
A classic if you're a total moron. I think it's absolute rubbish.
Dear. Hello.
Yeah, exactly. It's bad enough in the film, but you now do an impression of Robin Williams doing a bad Scottish accent as a woman. It makes it even worse. But yeah, so there you go, Mrs. Doubtfire.
You hate Mrs. How the Wow.
Again, hate is a strong word, I would say. I think it's absolute rubbish.
You just lost more respect from our listeners, probably.
Don't care.
Everybody likes Mrs. Doubtfire.
I don't.
You don't care about listeners. You call them assholes.
Here's one.
I
for
can't
you.
believe you just said that. I can't believe you just said that.
Yeah, right. Here's one for you. A film that I, as a kid, loved, but as an adult, I hate it and find it totally obnoxious and hard to sit through.
I know what you're going to say.
Classic.
Yeah, I know you're going to say. That's so stupid to say that about the Goonies.
Why?
It's you're a fucking rock. That's what you are. You're a fucking rock.
A rock, right? No. And here, my problem with it is, it's basically just an hour and a half or however long it lasts for of kids talking over each other and screaming at each other. The adults are actually quite good in it, Anne Ramsey and stuff. But it's essentially just kids screaming and shouting, and it is just, it grates on me.
So it's pretty much just Citizen Frame.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you should be respecting it.
Yeah. Maybe it's too close to home.
Goonies is classic. All right. Yeah, we're back to the Mummy here.
Mm-hmm.
So the Mummy, I never really got into the Mummy films. I like the Brendan Fraser one. I mean, the first two were good. The third one was terrible. But the first two are all right. They were just Indiana Jones with the Mummy. Is pretty much what they were.
Yeah, basically.
And I enjoyed them. They're good fun. Those old 50s, 40s serial-esque.
Pops up in one of them.
The Rock is in one of them, yeah, and then they do a spin-off called The Scorpion King.
Yeah.
Which was terrible.
But what about the early Mummy films, like the Boris Karloff
I was about to jump
Hammer?
I was about to jump into that until you cut me off.
Okay, go ahead.
Wow.
Speak.
Wow. Pissed all over Mrs. Doubtfire and the Goonies. You're really gaining momentum in this podcast.
It's very early in the morning, and I'm in bad form.
Yeah, you're always in bad form.
What?
I know I'm not going to swear. I'm not going to swear.
You're not going to swear. What? we're gonna have a Citizen Frame swear jar for Kieran.
Well, fuck up.
He's broken already. There you go.
I can't. I told you what the podcast. You give me Tourette's.
I don't think it's very difficult to do.
All right. Yeah, so I never really got into They don't make a lot of Mummy movies. I mean, they do. I mean, in the olden times. Let me finish. Jesus, he's going to interrupt me again, people.
Go ahead.
He's going to interrupt me again. They don't, and I stick by that. I mean, it's not like Dracula, right, or Wolfman. In the 30s, you had the original Boris Karloff, I think 34 or 32, whatever 32. It was.
Yeah,
and then you had a couple other ones. The one I'm more fond of that I liked was the Christopher Lee one where he played the Mummy, I think.
Yeah, the Hammer.
Or the Hammer one. That's the one I remember the most, even over the Boris Karloff one. But it's really not as... It's kind of like the Creature from the Black Lagoon. You remember the classic one, but you don't really... It's not really tackled a lot.
For example, like Dracula and Frankenstein's monster would maybe be top tier classic monsters, and the Mummy is just sort of up behind them, along with maybe the Wolfman and others. But here we're forgetting a big one, the Tom Cruise recent one a few years ago, which I haven't seen. I have to say. Yeah,
I'm a big Tom Cruise fan. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
Nothing that one.
I haven't seen it.
How do you fuck up having Tom Cruise and Russell Crowe as the bad guy? How do you fuck that up? You can't, right?
No bomb.
But it has some really cool effects. The plane crash scene's really good. But that's all I can really give it. It's not a piece of shit, everyone says it is, but it certainly isn't Tom Cruise worthy. Yeah. Here we go. Evil Dead Rise. It cost $22 million to make. It's slightly higher than most Blumhouse stuff. Made $90 million worldwide. It did better in the foreign market than it did in the U.S. market, but made its money. Wasn't the hit they wanted to be. Fairly well received. 6.4, something like that on IMDb. It's fair. So we went to see it, and it sucks being a director hot off a movie like The Evil Dead Rise, because it definitely plays nod to Evil Dead. Let's get that out of the way now.
100%.
Yes, it does. and The Exorcist.
Yeah.
He blatantly will tell you that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Play fanfare to the movie that made you. Of course, I would if I was in his shoes. But the problem is, it's kind of like a band who has a hit record. All the records that come out after are going to be compared to that hit record.
Yeah.
And it's not fair. And I think that's kind of where this one went. I think people were blinded by the nods rather than understanding this. It's kind of a cool concept he's got here, a different take on the Mummy franchise, which I always respect. I always like keep true to the original, but make it your own. They do that, but let's jump into the Mummy.
Yeah.
We got Jack Rayner as Charlie Cannon. We got Leah Costa, who plays Larissa. May Kalamoe, I believe how you spell that. I could be butchering. I apologize. She plays Detective Zaki.
I'm not too sure.
Natalie Grace, the scene stealer, plays Katie. Veronica Falcone plays the grandmother. She's very good in it. We got Hayat Kamili, who plays the magician. And then they get the little bastard kids, Sebastian and Maud. Opening sequence. I like a good opening sequence for a horror film. You kind of get me in this one. I'm okay with that. You meet the family, the magician and her family.
Evil
And
Egyptian lady.
she's called the magician.
Yeah, I know, but she's basically evil Egyptian lady.
Well, we'll call her the magician by her credited name.
Okay.
She's Egyptian.
Evil Egyptian magician lady. That's a bit of a tongue twister for you.
She's a bitch right off. You meet the husband and the kids, and they're singing in the car, and she turns off the radio because you're all giving me a headache. And so right there,
To be fair,
you
kids singing in cars
yes,
give you a headache.
I agree with her, but the way she says it and the way she looks at them.
The way she's set up, yeah.
Yeah, so right there, she's a bitch. So she's going to be the villain of the group. And they walk into the house, and they see the dead bird with the black goo. They know that the mummy below the house, they're the keepers of this mummy, and they have to feed this mummy anytime it wakes up a soul.
She's basically
it's usually a young soul. So she's the carer of this mummy. If it wakes up, all chaos breaks loose. So technically, there's a rhyme and reason for her madness.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, she's sort of trapped in this situation. So it's like, there are scenes later on where she's like reluctant about everything she's done, especially with the kidnapping the child and stuff. But she's basically trapped where she has to get souls for evil mummy.
So we get some really pretty gruesome death in the beginning here, as they're opening up the coffin to see if the mummy is awake. To confirm it, that is, the husband gets actually jackknifed by one of the, what do you call it, the chain.
Machinery?
The chain that's holding the lid of the coffin, and it embeds in his jaw and lifts him up in the air. And he's just sitting there staring at his wife as his thing sticking through his mouth. It's pretty cool. I like a good death. But it does confirm that the mummy is awake.
Yes. Boris Karloff style.
It's one thing I think he should have done. And I'm probably jumping ahead, but that's what he should have done. We get more of an Exorcist version of the mummy here is what we're doing. The mummy's in the soul or something. And
possessed kid film.
Yeah, they should have more or less somehow at the end got the real mummy out of the box and come alive.
Yeah, slumbering type mummy with the bandages. And
that you needed her and him, and maybe she helps at the end or something. I don't know, but you needed a physical presence. I guess that makes sense of the actual mummy in wraps. We do get it with her. We'll dig a little deeper, but that's I think the one thing I think that would have catapulted this movie to a more of audience respect if they did that. Even in the beginning, they would coming out going, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Something.
Zombie style.
Yeah, we needed that moment, I think, to let them know at least they're passing the torch to a different generation.
Although you don't actually get too much of that in the original 1932 Boris Karloff one. It's more he's like, like physically walking about, not with the bandages wrapped around him and stuff. But yes, I think for like pure fan service, basically, I think a lot of people, probably including myself, were looking like an actual mummy with bandages wrapped around him, chasing people very slowly, but still catching up with them.
Well, that's slasher cliche.
I know, but sometimes I like cliches.
So we're introduced to the family, Charlie and Larissa, the mom and dad. Let's call them mom and dad for this. And the kids, good chemistry, kids are good in this,
The kids are
which is
better than
nice
the
to see.
adults.
Yeah. Flaw number one. I did not like the dad here.
Same.
Nothing against Jack Rayner. He's just emotionless.
I
No,
was trying to pinpoint where I'd seen him in before, and then it finally hit me. Well, basically, I looked it up. Midsummer, and that film. There's a film I hate, Midsummer.
yes, crappy one. But yeah, he's so boring when he's on the screen. Now that could be what he's going through. This is how he's dealing with the kidnapping of his child. But he's kind of like this in the beginning too, when he's with the child. So I think he's the problem here. The parents are definitely the problem, because when you have the element of the grandmother who's the scene stealer, and she's quite funny.
Correct. Yep.
She's the scene stealer. These two don't hold a candle to her.
There's
So
just a lack
that's
of
the problem.
charisma and sort of
There's no emotion.
sympathy towards him.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's the director saying you lost your child, blah blah blah. But even during the happy moments, which we try to give, he just seems kind of doesn't want to be there.
Yeah. No,
and that's kind of.
I think he is definitely a weak link.
But there's still a lot of positives here. We got the detective. I like Zaki, and I like grandmother, and I like the kids, believe it or not, and I definitely like when Katie's on the screen. But the whole opening sequence, you got the kidnapping scene, right? And it's quite well handled. Little things I really enjoyed: the Morse code, when the dad's teaching her Morse code, which will come back into play,
Yeah,
which is
obviously.
a nice little twist. Well, I thought that was a nice twist. I didn't see that coming. And the chemistry between, Sebastian and Katie. And there's a nice little foreshadowing when Sebastian creates his little parachute and chucks her doll off the roof.
Yeah.
And the doll shatters, and and the dad fixes the doll, but it's all bandaged up.
Yes. I actually
did you catch that? Did you catch that? You didn't.
On the second viewing. Yeah.
Little foreshadowing. But okay, let's piggyback on what you just said. Second viewing, guys. I was teetering on this film. It does deserve a second viewing, because you'll catch little things like that make it kind of fun. And I will say this, for the second viewing, it's a lot more violent than I thought it was.
And also I found.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater, and I didn't think it was, but it's pretty brutal when you watch it at home, which is sad. I like to see movies in the theater, and I did see it in the theater, but for some reason I didn't see what I'm seeing now, which is weird.
I think the kidnapping scene is actually quite eerily done. I think it works well up until the point where the CGI comes in. And I have an issue with CGI in horror films, and there is some of it here. So it's like a scorpion or something, or some sort of insect in the kid's mouth, with the apple and stuff. Obviously, there are, fairy tale allusions there, with the Snow White and stuff, with the apple.
It's a nectarine.
Yeah, nectarine. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, Mr. Food Expert. But yeah,
it is.
Okay, fair enough. But yes, I think it is quite eerily done. But then the CGI pops up, and it's just like, you're taking me out of this.
I'm not at all. The CGI is used. The director says he had no choice. He can't shove a scorpion in the child's mouth.
You do it on an animatronic scorpion.
You're going to pay to make an animatronic scorpion go into a child's mouth that could probably malfunction in the child's mouth. Yeah, that's what we'll do.
If they did it safely, there were proper safety procedures in place. Yes.
No, I think you're just picking on it now. He says he used CGI. He used CGI for the scorpion, and he used CGI for the sandstorm. And
they should have had a real sandstorm. I'm waiting.
You're a fucking idiot. You're an idiot.
Waited for months.
Seriously, you're an idiot. You just no, guys, don't listen to him. The CGI is fine. Didn't even notice it, to be honest with you.
It works for the sandstorm, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, I like when the sandstorm comes into the house. I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice, and she gets kidnapped, and the magician's very creepy, and and sell, in the kidnapping, how she baits her, and then pretty much she's kidnapped, and then we cut to 8 years later.
Yes.
So there you go. 8 years later, and we're now in New Mexico.
Albuquerque.
They live with the grandmother. The grandmother is very religious. She very probably Catholic, I'm assuming.
I don't
This
know.
time, Maud.
Yeah.
The mom was pregnant with Maud at the time of the kidnapping. So Maud's now 8 years old, the newborn, and Sebastian's now a teen.
Yes.
So
He's
there you
about
go.
15 or so. Yeah.
Yeah, little fucker. I like the scene where the kid's on the bike. I don't know if he's a messenger or what he is. And he's just biking. He's in Egypt. And you can see from the background this plane crashing. It's pretty cool. I like it in the background.
Carrying the tomb.
Carrying the tomb. And he goes to look at the plane crash. And you get the pilots are dead. One pilot's on the ground, and the other pilot's really cool. Is hanging from the tree, and his face got embedded in a branch. And he notices this because the eye's on the ground. And he's like, "What the fuck?" And he looks up, and he sees that branch gone through the guy's head. Obviously, popped out his eye. And like I said, I like the gore. Gore's good, and it's practical. And I like my gore, and it's also the two brothers we find out of the magician.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So, and they were moving the coffin, but this is where they find Kate. Kate is in that coffin. I think that scene's pretty neat. I think it's pretty creepy when the scientists open up the lid of the coffin and they're unwrapping the child, and it's the child's still alive.
Yeah.
And I do like the phone call sequence when they're at home and whatever, and they get the phone call, and they go, "Are you sitting down? What? We found Katie, and she's alive." I like that moment. I like that call. It's the one time where I kind of like I was rooting for the parents, and then but that's it, and that's pretty much just the dialogue and how it's written. I think anyone would get a little goosebumps knowing their child, is found alive 8 years later. It's a good scene. They find her, and this is 30 minutes into the film, so this is where everything starts.
I think
unfolding.
Yeah, I think the mother character is definitely better in these scenes. With the more emotional, missing child scenes or the missing child return scenes. The father character, as we've already discussed, is pretty wooden, essentially.
Yeah, the one thing I had the problem I had when I saw the movie the first time was addressing what this kid looks like. And where's all the help this child should be getting right now, like physio or something, or a shrink, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Now I watched it again. They explain everything.
I know they do.
They do.
I still don't buy it.
But it's what we call in the business one-line fixes.
Yes,
exactly. But I don't think this is a one-line fix. I actually think child services, somebody would have intervened.
Yeah.
So when they go see the child for the first time, the doctor's like, "Okay, just so you know, the child's been sleeping.
Yeah, for 8 years.
It's been in a wooden box. It's been in a wooden box for 8 years. So she might look a little different." Well, fuck me.
Just a little bit.
I'd walk in there. I'd walk in and go, "Nope, not my kid."
Yeah.
We've learned to move on after 8 years.
Yeah. And then the doctor then says, "But you know what? Actually, never mind all this, intensive care and treatment, proper professional treatment in a hospital." The doctor's like, "Nah, fuck it. We're just going to send her home. I think she'll be all right if you look after her." And I'm like, "Aye, right."
Yeah, it's not even the physical aspect. Well, it is somewhat of the physical aspect because her parents is terrifying.
Yeah.
But the doctor does say she's perfectly fine. She's healthier than any of us. So, but it's the appearance. And even if that doctor doesn't get involved, there should have been a line or something, or even a scene where we have hired a physical therapist and a shrink to come do daily checks or weekly checks, something, and even add that character to the scene, and have Katie go, "I'm going to kill you, bitch."
Have that character bumped off.
Have the card an extra killing or too terrified to come back.
Yeah,
something. But There's no way they'd go, oh, here she is, bye.
Also, where are the press? Because like a missing child case, something like in real life terms, the Madeleine McCann case that's still running on to this day, and it's actually referenced in the earlier interview scene in this film, where the Egyptian detective guy basically insinuates that it's the parents who are behind this. But so where are the press? This would have been a massive case in real world terms, but there are no press at the house bothering them and saying, what happened? The kid's back, yay, but what happened? It's just like, yeah, take her home and let her be a mummy. Also, they completely missed the trick by not having the kid wake up and going, I want my mummy. Totally missed the trick there.
Oh my God, that would have been a Trevor joke. They're not going to put that in there.
Cheered.
Now, what the film tries to do, and I can appreciate it, and I don't mind them doing it, is they cut back and forth. You got now it's Detective Zaki. She was an officer at the time of the kidnapping. Now she's the detective. She's helping them figure out who took her still.
Yes.
And so we cut back and forth. We cut back to the States. We cut back to Egypt. And it's her trying to figure out who kidnapped her. And I do like that going back and forth because you got like the thriller, drama, detective story, and then you've got the horror aspect back in the States. So I do like that dynamic, but the problem I have with it, there's no twists.
Yeah.
And
with
if
no
you're
one
going to do that, cut back. Yeah, exactly. If you're going to cut back and forth, we needed that twist. We needed that moment. And to where when she finally shows up at the house, boom, twist.
I would say as well
it would add something more. It would add more tension to as she gets closer to solving it. But we already know.
Yeah,
what
we know who's behind
it
is. Yeah, I would say as well a big problem for this film overall is its run length. It is way too long. It's like 2 hours and 15 minutes or something. And for a type of horror film like this, that's too long. It's dragged
out. I don't
know.
It is and isn't. I don't have a problem with it. Because it's one of those things that I don't know what you could have cut. Because I do think
some of this detective stuff that's what I'm so that's why I'm bringing it in here.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I was okay with it. When you're watching it at home, it's a little different. Maybe in a theater you might feel it. Who knows? But I do think an average horror film should be an hour and a half. To be honest with you,
yeah.
But there's not enough. I don't know. I think they were trying to create a pot boiler. Every scene as they're going back and forth, and they thought they had that. They don't. It's well done, but it's what he was trying to do. And this is the Evil Dead reference here. Is what he did right with the Evil Dead Rise is within fucking 5 minutes. You really like this family. You got their dynamic. You know who was into what was led, who was this, who was that. Within 10 minutes, it was well casted. You knew all the entire people, all the different personalities in the apartment complex, and then he throws the shit at you.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what he did with Evil Dead Rise.
And a lot of that,
it's a roller. It's let me finish. It's a roller coaster that doesn't stop. This was doing the same thing, trying to do the same thing, but it doesn't work because it plays more of a drama than it does. It's played more straight, exactly, and so you're not going to have that adrenaline that you got from Evil Dead Rise. And the problem, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be Evil Dead Rise, and I think that's the problem with Lee here. He's trying to pay nod to his past work, but in a different film. It won't work. That will work for the Evil Dead franchise, but it's not going to work for this one. And also, casting let it down by the two leads.
Yeah. No.
They're bland as fuck.
Pretty much. And I would say as well that with all Evil Dead films, with maybe the exception of the 2013 remake, they're all played basically tongue-in-cheek. They're never nasty. But here, like you were saying, they're playing it straight, so it doesn't really fit for that type of tongue-in-cheek Evil Dead vibe that we got with Evil Dead Rise. The performances as well in Evil Dead Rise, especially by the mother and the Aunt Beth, were bang on here, especially with the two parents who are basically leading it. It's bland.
But again, it's a different tone film.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that's the problem. But I do like the fact Katie, I like when she headbutts the grandma. That's pretty fun. But I like she's in the crawl spaces. and they're going after her. They're chasing her in the crawl spaces in the
house.
in the house, and she eats a scorpion in front of them, and they get her to throw it up, as you do when your child eats a scorpion.
Yeah, because that happens all the
But
time. Yeah.
it's just right there. I'd be like, you know what? What do we think about adoption?
Well, the father does say that. In a way, he doesn't say adoption, but at one point, and this is actually one of the better dramatic scenes.
Well, this is what we're gonna go back to when I talked about in the beginning, where they do have these lines in this film that do reference why did they get a physio, why they blah, 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 why did they do this?
Yeah.
They do explain it, and he does want to chuck her out, and the mother's like, "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah, and that's actually probably the best dramatic scene, where he says, "Yeah, I think we might want to consider maybe putting her somewhere that can help her," which is a completely sane and logical thing to say and want if you have an undead mummy as a daughter. So, but then obviously the mother, who obviously is suffering from guilt of, the child going missing and not being there for her in the first place, she flips out. So yeah, that's probably the best dramatic scene, I think.
I love when the grandma and the mom are trying to clean her up.
Yeah.
And, do her hair, cut her nails, and the nails are coming off.
Yeah, yeah.
But hey, it's creepy. But I do like when she cuts the nail and she can't get the nail cut, but she tears off the skin off her leg with the nail.
This film does go there with the gore at times, especially like skin peeling. Instead of bandages peeling, we have skin peeling. So if you're big into your gore, you will get it here. But it's not nasty. Again, like the Evil Dead's.
Yes, Evil Dead. You're going ew, and then you laugh at yourself for going ew.
You're turning to whoever you're at the cinema with, and you're sort of, you bust out laughing. It's all part of the fun. So again, even though we're saying it's played a lot more straight here, there are certainly Evil Dead moments, especially later on when the grandmother becomes possessed, which I actually enjoyed the most.
I didn't have Evil Dead, the grandmother. I had Drag Me to Hell.
Oh, well, yes, again, Raimi again. But she was my favorite. Whenever the other kids become possessed, I just found them irritating. Whenever the other daughter goes to school possessed and she says the C word and stuff.
Yeah, jumping ahead, but yeah, but when they cut the skin, when he rips the skin off, it's the one moment where Katie is thrown off by what's happening to her.
Yes,
it is a human moment in her. Because he looks down when it happens, and there's a shock look in her face, like what? And that's a moment where she's still in there.
Yeah,
she's still
Katie
in there.
Is still there. Yeah,
yeah,
trapped by evil demon. Yeah, essentially.
Now the mom, we talk about the acting. The father's kind of bland, but the mom I might give a pass to just because
she's better.
After the speech, you mentioned about I'm not giving up my child. We're not going to give up on her. I feel bad for what happened. Blah blah. It's guilt and post-traumatic, all that kind of stuff she's going through. And so I get her being so somber and so, reserved. But I maybe it's the writing. That could be a little bit of the problem.
Yeah. I was thinking about this, but go ahead.
What was the scene where she spits on her?
Oh, yeah. But for me...
what scene? Where was she was trying to do something for her. Oh no! She goes up to her and the mother just had the conversation with the father. The father wants to get rid of the child.
Yes.
And the mother goes up to the daughter, sticking up for her, sits right in it. That's actually this is the moment that works, where the father wants her gone, and she refuses to do so, rightfully so, to her daughter. She sits right in front of her. The camera's just in front. You see the two, left and the right side. One's, Katie's face. The other is her face. And she's just talking to her. Say something. Give me something, please. And it looks like she's going to lean in and say something to her. You're like, ooh, this is a good moment. And she spits in her face.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a great moment because she just got done telling her husband, "Go fuck yourself. I'm not giving up my daughter." And then what does the daughter do? Spits her right in her face.
This is the sort
throws her back at her.
Well, it's like proving the father right, type thing, but obviously there's the motherly intuition there. She, wants to protect her daughter, especially after losing her for 8 years, that sort of thing. But I think maybe on a personal level, my issue is there's maybe a bit too much family drama in this for my liking, in that when I watch any sort of horror film or a mummy film, I don't really want to watch family drama. It can be, you can have aspects of it to sort of, ramp up the stakes and stuff. But I think combined with the performances, there's maybe just a bit too much of it here. And let's be honest, if you want family drama, you can watch soap opera. So I get that there has to be, that they do balance it to a certain extent, but I feel that there is just maybe a bit too much of the family stuff, in terms of the drama between the parents.
Personally, I think what they should have done is, because of, instead of asking questions, why they didn't have a Vizio, why they didn't have a shrink, there's a funeral that's elongated
Drama,
of the
yeah.
grandmother. You could have got rid of the school scene, even though it's kind of funny what she says to the teacher, but that could have been cut. I think what they should have done was this happens within a 48-hour period.
Yeah,
Compress it is over the weekend, and then have a line where the father even can say, "We have a Vizio on shrink coming on Monday."
Social
to
services.
talk. You know what I mean?
I'm social
You have
services.
that
Save the
one
day.
line.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't make sense. Have it over the weekend, and then have the visual coming out, and then at the end of the film, everything's said and done, and at the end of the knock on the door, there's the Vizio and the shrink. That would have been funny. But
it's like the cliche with films where the cops always arrive right at the end after everyone's been killed, and
but that would have been all right.
yeah,
It would explain everything.
Yeah,
and you would have probably cut the runtime by cutting out all the outside the house stuff. Is what they should have cut.
yeah.
All the outside the house stuff. The possession of Maud. We don't need to see another child being possessed. We already got Katie. As some of the fun scenes, and she's very good. The young kid who plays Maud, the younger sister. It was too much. Have the children become possessed during this climax. I get that. Fine, go with it. But we didn't need all these outside the house dramas, especially the funeral of the mother.
You know what I
now
quite like?
let's talk.
And we don't see enough of them. Are they wolves or jackals that sort of hang out outside the house? Including
I think they're coyotes.
Coyotes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I got Omen vibes, and there are certain Omen vibes in this anyway. But I got sort of Omen vibes, and I would like to actually seen more of those coyotes. It's like the sort of familiars of the demon sort of thing. But yeah, so basically, ditch the family drama and the other kids, and give us more evil coyotes.
I do like one of the most reasonable person in the house is the grandmother, and Jesus, does she get a death? And
Yeah.
it's a lot more brutal than I remember. So when the grandma gets it, she gets punched in the face. Then she gets strangled by her rosary beads.
That's right.
Then she gets hung up by the rosary beads.
Hanged, yep.
And then she gets chucked out the window, falls on top of the car where the kids are in and the father. She falls off the car. She's still alive, and then she starts getting eaten by the coyotes.
Yeah.
And they show it. It's brutal. And this poor woman, who's probably the only saving grace of the family,
the most likable character,
and could probably help them the most, is taken out of the scene pretty quickly. But it's brutal death, and I kind of like that because she gets the brutal death because she was the most threatening to Katie.
Yeah.
So that's why she gets it.
Also, she was the most religious, so obviously there's that element as well where she would have been more of a threat to the demon, basically.
When the father finds the piece of skin that they peeled off earlier,
yes,
he finds the writing on the skin, and he brings it to this professor guy, Professor Bixler.
Pointless character.
And he tells him it was just a day dump guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And like, you want to add something. Bring him to the house. Let him get killed.
Yes, kill him, absolutely.
We find out it's Egyptian heretic, which is the first cursive script in Egypt.
Yeah, it's ancient.
Yeah. You didn't know that.
Well, Data Dump Guy did.
You didn't know that. I did.
Right. Well, I'm not an Egyptologist, and I don't claim to be. I just wanted to see an undead.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows what the first cursive script in Egypt was.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That is common knowledge.
Of course. Okay, Mr. Archaeologist, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. I'll take that. I'm okay with
Okay,
that.
Harrison. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take it. It's kind of funny because he tells it's a pointless scene because he tells her, "Oh my God, this is Egypt and heretic, first cursive script in Egypt." That was 10 minutes. We had to learn that. There's another 10 minutes you could have cut. Who cares?
I would have cut
I
his
mean,
character. Either expand the
yeah.
character.
What was the point of the translation?
Yeah.
Well, there was no point. Nothing came of it.
You could have done it,
I mean,
because you're
you could
such an
look.
expert. But yeah,
I should have. Oh my God, what are we gonna do?
let's go
I don't
see
know.
Kieran.
Kate. Yeah, get Kieran in there. I'll be comic relief.
Yeah.
I'll also be like I'll be like the hot neighbor, the good looking neighbor, and I'll be like chopping wood
Yeah. Yeah. With your
outside.
top
They'll be
off.
coming.
With your top off. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be like,
Yeah.
hey, Kieran, you gotta come over here. Or Katie's batshit crazy. And I look at it, this looks like Egyptian heretic. This is the first crystal script in Egypt.
Yeah. So you're not. Yeah. Yeah. Kieran would basically be Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse, but also like some sort of like intellect as well. Who could educate these
Yeah,
people. I'd pay good money to see that. Absolutely.
yep. People are going, that mummy was okay, but that Kieran was a scene stealer.
But this guy here that we get is
It's pointless. It's pointless.
Yes.
It makes it. I mean, it would make sense for him to take a picture of it and send it to the detective in Egypt, going, "Can you make any sense of this?" And then move on from that, and then let her figure it out because we're going back and forth. Let her figure it out. It makes more sense to give it to her anyway, instead of giving a whole 15-minute travel to the college and talk to the professor guy.
It slows the film down.
Yes, it takes you out of it.
Yeah.
The problem is he's trying to do a pop boiling where Evil Dead Rise, it throws in your face. With this one, he's trying to build the tension, and I understand that. I'll go with it. But you're cutting the tension away when you take us to a scene that's pointless.
Yes, totally.
I didn't see it coming, and I like the fact every time the father's in the room, she's clicking her teeth, like biting down, and like she's cold or something, whatever. She's consistently clicking her teeth. Only when the father's there.
Morse code.
I like that. And she's giving her the Morse code that he taught her at the beginning of the film, and she's saying Layla. And Layla, I was like, what, the Clapton song?
The thanks?
Layla is the name of the woman who kidnapped her, as we know as the magician. And Layla, the detective says, Jesus, that's the most common name in Egypt.
Yeah.
So this is where her detective work starts taking digging a little deeper. Her stuff's kind of fun. I do like her sequences, and you think it'd be a little, if you're gonna, have a slower time and have her detective work rather than the professor guy. That would make more sense to me. Give her the screen time because she's actually very good at it. I like her.
She's again one of the better characters, especially compared to the absolute plank of wood that is the father.
Yeah. Because if the father was better in this, was better actor, you would really like the ending of this film better.
Yeah, because you would have had more sort of sympathy with what happens to him and stuff, and it would have been a lot more cooler as well. Whereas it's just it's a bit cheesy and hokey for what, and it's not a surprise either. And again, it's going back to The Exorcist, where
I think it is a surprise. I disagree with that. I think the ending's quite good. But we'll dive in there in a second. Who's the one? I think it's the detective.
Yes,
I can't remember who said it. Says, "Okay, I'll try. Thanks for the name. I'll try to figure out what I can do."
Yeah.
In the meantime, he tells him, "Look for any signs of the name Layla in your house. Anything the child might say. Anything else? Have you got any letters from fans, not fans, but people with their sympathies for the kidnapping?" And he hangs up the phone. He goes downstairs, and there's this big fucking coffin. And it's full of letters that they've been getting through the years for the missing child, as probably would have happened in real life anyway.
Yeah.
And he's going through them, and he finds the letter. And all it is a picture of the candy that was given to the child.
That's right, yep.
And was found at the scene of the kidnapping, and the nectarine that she bit into.
Yeah. So that's our Layla. It's quite convenient as well, but we're running with it in a way.
Oh, no, I'm okay with that. People that under these circumstances would have gotten a lot of letters from people, and so I would go with that. that see if the kidnapper reached out to you.
It was a bit stupid of
Because-
the kidnapper, though.
It wasn't the kidnapper who did that. That was the daughter
Oh, that's right.
telling them it was my mother who
That's right.
kidnapped you.
That was the one with the tongue cut out. Yes,
Yes,
that's
the
right.
daughter was the one who it was a hint. This is who kidnapped your daughter.
Yes. Oh, okay.
And
That's
they were
fair enough.
supposed to see that. Yeah, they were supposed to see that years ago, but they never opened it, and that's why it's 8 years later. But if they opened it sooner, they would have had an idea.
And yes, because the
Which
daughter,
when you think about it like that, though, I like that. I think it's pretty cool.
well, it does
really-
work that it
I
comes
do.
from the daughter. So yes, I stand corrected in terms of that. Because actually, the daughter also later on, whenever we meet her, she says that she at one point tried to report it, and that's when her mother, the magician, evil Egyptian lady, cut her tongue out.
The professor did finds out who. Well, he doesn't know, the professor, but the father puts the piece together. Once the professor tells him there's a name that's mentioned religiously on this script,
The name of the demon.
and yeah, Nazmarian.
Yeah.
Nazmarian is the name of the evil script spirit mummy man.
Yeah, exactly. The demon.
The demon. Nazmarian.
Uh-huh.
Very scary.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like when Ma got taken over. Like I said that earlier, I think her getting taken over is kind of silly. However, I do like the scene when she's in school and the teacher approaches her and she goes, "What are you looking at? Yeah, what is it? You're not.
Calls her.
What was it? It was
She uses.
no, it was a toad. You're not a toad. You're a rat-faced cunt."
Yeah. Wow, there's a first for Citizen Frame, the C word, because a bit of inside information here, folks. Kieran doesn't mind us swearing, obviously, because he never stopped swearing himself, but he prefers that we don't use the C word. So that is a first for Citizen Frame, the C word. Yeah.
That is because it was said in the film.
Okay. Right.
That's a difference. There's a difference. I'm just saying. For context, I had to say it because it would not.
It would have been stupid.
it
I
would
was actually.
defeat- it would- yeah.
Yeah. It would have been.
It would defeat the purpose of telling the line.
Yeah.
But she keeps repeating it in the car.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's the father driving her home, and she keeps saying it, and she's being quite brutal to everybody. And he's just like, "Oh,
Yep.
I'd be like, fuck me, not another one."
Well, exactly. Especially everything that's went on before, you would have thought that, like straight away, you'd be, oh shit, here we go again, and then you would check with Sebastian because he would obviously be next, which he is.
I do like when he tells the detective, "I found the letter." He sends her a picture of it, and she sees the nectarine in the letter, in the picture. So that puts the pieces together. There was a nectarine farm, which was run by Layla Khalil, and that's our kidnapper. And that's how she gets to the farm. I like that. I'm okay. I like the detective stuff. And then I will say this: if I'm liking the detective stuff more than I am liking the monster stuff, that might be an issue.
Might have an issue, yeah. Yeah, in terms of the horror. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think this is a case of where this film is just trying to be too much at the same time. We've got, in terms of the horror, we've got all of the, obviously, you're going back to the Universal classics with the mummy stuff, but there's also Evil Dead, Omen, Exorcist, but also there's the family drama, the detective story and stuff. And yes, obviously that accounts a lot for the 2 hours and 15 minutes runtime, which is too long, in my opinion. But it's just, I think it's trying to be too much at the same time. And we're just looking basically a mummy slumbering about, trying to kill people and catching up with them. So I sort of get it, but I think it's too much. It's like overreach, trying to be this epic that does everything and ticks all these boxes in terms of drama and horror and stuff. But ultimately, I don't think it completely nails any of them.
It does. The detective sequence is fine. The ending, I think, is fine. It does give closure. Good. No, it does wrap up pretty good.
Boom.
That was no pun intended. I got confused. Sorry. Layla is the daughter, not the magician. Layla is the daughter who sent. Layla is.
With her tongue cut.
I got confused there. Yeah, Layla is the daughter of the magician who warned them with the card. That's why Katie was telling her, look for Layla. Layla is not the one who kidnapped me. Layla is the one who's trying to help me.
The daughter.
That's why he gives her the name Layla, and that's why he sees the name. I guess
I just to
the names.
confirm. I just to confirm, it's
You
also
got
the daughter of the
Larissa. You got
kidnapper.
Layla. What?
Just to confirm, it is the daughter of the kidnapper. You know,
The
because
magician. Yes.
Yeah.
So sorry, we got to backpedal there. So Layla, when she goes to the house, when the detective gets to the house, thanks to the clues that Layla sent them, she finds that she gives her that VHS tape, and this is where she shoots and you think kills the cult leader, the magician, the mother,
Yes.
and so she's out of the picture. You think she's dead, and Layla then gives her the VHS, which shows quite brutal.
It's
Actually,
pretty
I'm going to be
creepy.
honest with you guys.
Yeah.
It's pretty creepy. You got to realize this is a child. This is a child in this, and the child who plays young Katie's very good in it. And I felt sorry for her. It shows what actually happens to Katie,
Sacrifice.
and you see the magician, and they got these the people in robes, and they open up the coffin,
It's very creepy.
and they pretty much feed her to this mummy in this coffin. They bring her down, and she gets all wrapped up,
Right.
and she literally does.
Yeah.
And what the wrappings are is the Sanskrit, is the script that he sent to the professor. Those wrappings are wrapped around her. It's kind of like their prayer.
Yes, exactly.
Or their Necronomicon,
Yeah.
but wrapped around. Instead of a book,
yeah,
it's in wraps.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of
I
clever.
actually would say that in the context of some of the real world shit that has come out recently with the whole Epstein files and stuff, this is actually the most disturbing scene where the child is being sacrificed, and because it's quite brutally done, and the whole VHS tape is actually the most disturbing and unsettling stuff out of the lot here.
When they finally tie up Katie
Yes.
for all her actions that's been going on, with the funeral and all that. She's got Maud under her spell. Now she's trying to get the brother. And creepy little line there where she's talking him through the door. Hey, can you help me here? Come on, buddy. Come on, baby brother. Come on, baby brother. Gonna help me out? Do you want to help me get undressed?
Yes.
I was like, fuck. But what she means is
Skin?
she's tight. She's tied up. And she was just playing with the words, but she's tied up. She wants to get she wants to get out of this
But it's
chair.
also,
but to word it that way is just
I know
creepy.
it's creepy, but it's also whenever he gets in and he's like helping her peel her skin off. So that's what she means as well. Because she's,
Yeah.
So it's like undressed from her basically human skin bandages.
I like they bring back the grandma.
I don't know. This is when it goes proper Evil Dead, where possessed grandma comes back and fights the detective and stuff. Yeah. No, I like that.
I do like when the detectives get attacked by the grandma, and because the detective flies over because she has the VHS tape, so she's going to fly over and get it to him.
Yeah.
And this is where this could have worked a little better when I'm talking about cutting back and forth. She gets the videotape. She goes, oh my God. And she has to get this to them. So she gets on a plane to get there. That back and forth would have been better to build more tension. But then she just shows up the door. And so it's like, oh, there she is.
It's convenient.
Yeah, you just needed that. You needed that momentum. This is big moments finally happening. Because the last 20 minutes is quite good. And it's definitely dragged me to hell. Evil Dead, batshit crazy. Even got little people under the stairs. I don't know, probably that's fresh in my head with the crawl space and all.
Yeah.
But it's quite fun. And it cuts back to the grandma's attacking the detective. Katie's attacking the father. The mother's being attacked by Sebastian. So you have all these attacks going on at the same time. But the grandmother feeds the scorpion to the detective. And the scorpion comes out of her. She survives by it coming out of her throat, which is quite gross. But then the detective kicks the grandma down the stairs, and the grandma's head gets stuck between the railings. It's very funny because you can't get her head back out. Because when you put your head through those railings going up the stairs, you can't get your head back out. And so that's what happens to the grandmother, which is actually quite funny. But this whole thing's really cool, and they're actually in a desert, so all these windows are open, and the sand's starting to come in. So it kind of looks like there's a sandstorm going on within the house as this chaos is starting to kick off. And I do like that setup. I do like the fact that they're in a desert setting, so this sand is there's a rhyme and reason why it's in the house.
And then
But
there is which I mean, I did enjoy the finale with all this craziness going on, but there is supposed to be then the emotional core of the father's sacrifice for his daughter. But in terms of emotion, it just didn't hit me because it was, first of all, I was glad to see the back of him because he was an absolute dipshit for the entire film. But, you know, I know you really shouldn't compare, but there's obviously Exorcist vibes here going on where, you know, Father Karras sacrifices himself for Regan, but it just doesn't have much emotional power here for me. And yeah, it's almost like a bit of a quick fix at the end, I found. But generally,
I don't think I don't find it as a quick fix. I think it's the father. Unfortunately, he doesn't sell it. That's the
yeah,
problem.
that's yeah, I agree.
I like the ending. I like the self-sacrifice because the father's dealing with guilt this whole time about with being the one who was watching her when she was kidnapped.
Yes.
They kind of had that argument, and but he doesn't sell it to me.
No.
He doesn't sell it to me like he's a depressed father who feels guilty of losing his child.
Yeah.
He never sold that to me. But that's what they're trying to do. And so I can't fault the director. I can't fault the director or the writer for doing that because it is really good ending, but it falls flat because of his acting.
Yeah.
And that's also disappointing because the ending's wonderful. The little twist ending is wonderful. I really do like this because if you cared at all for the father, you'd be in the theater going, yeah,
Exactly.
you know, because at the end we find out, spoiler alert, that the magician survived the shooting. And when
she's in prison,
and then they're like, well, it's more of like an asylum, I think.
Yeah.
And the mother, who's the nurse, it goes and injects her with that, you know, knockout juice, whatever. And the detective shows up, and the father is in a wheelchair,
and he's a dead
now the mummy man.
Yeah,
he's a mummy now, and then they close the door. And you just see from, you know, behind closed doors, but you can hear they're giving that speech to transfer the mummy into her. She's now getting what she deserves.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that ending. Also, that means the father survived.
Yes. Well, yes, he's possessed. Yeah.
He's possessed because if Katie can survive it, he will survive it. So the father would be okay. That's what the ending is. The father's going to make it. And it's a great ending. I like the ending. It saves the film, to be honest with you. But what a really nailed this ending would have been a fucking home run if there was a better actor in the role.
So I agree. He does let the film down. I mean, I'm going to go back to The Exorcist anyway. I probably shouldn't be, but with the Father Karras character who's just tormented the whole film and then makes the ultimate sacrifice, your heart's breaking for him. Here, this is Mr. Bland, and you just don't give a shit about anything that happens to him. In fact, you're actually hoping for him to be bumped off in the most gruesome of manners. So yes, I can't really fault the writing or even the direction in terms of the father character, but unfortunately, it's just not sold with the acting.
All right, guys, we'll wrap this one up. We've been kind of going on here for a while there. The Mummy.
What are your overall thoughts?
Well, it gets a pass, 100%.
I'm on still.
It definitely gets a pass. Viewing it at home, it's a lot better time, and you catch more things. I like second viewings when you can catch more things.
I enjoyed aspects of it, but other aspects I think let it down. But so I'm sort of on the fence.
But most films do that. I mean, most films are going to have their positives and negatives, but this has more positives. I like the children in it. Definitely like the young actress who plays Katie as her first role. So kudos to her.
Riley's the best.
I like the grandmother. I like the detective work. I like the atmosphere. I like the visuals, the practical on the face of the daughter. I like the violence and the gore in it. It's got too much going for it than it does negative. The only problem is the negative is pretty big. And the negative is too much run time, too much data dump scenes that we didn't need that could have been removed. And the father is bad in this.
Yeah.
And that's bad because he's the key character. So that's
Yeah.
That's a bad one. If you put someone like James McAvoy in that role, it would have sold it.
Or even someone, I know they're probably too old for the role, but someone like Mads Mikkelsen or something, someone like that would have really sold it.
Me.
Well, but sure you've already got a role as topless, shirt off lumberjack guy who also happens to be an Egyptologist that does the data dump. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. I'd come in and go, I'd say I'd jump on the child and save her life. I'd take the demon.
And everyone would cheer because they'd be glad to get fucking rid of you. Yeah.
No, they'd be like, yeah, what a hero.
What a guy. Yeah. And all your babes would be they would be in floods of tears and stuff. It would be so emotional. Yeah. Yeah.
But I'd come back at the end because we go after the magician lady.
Yeah. Yeah. Setting up a sequel for you.
Yeah.
Or a franchise. Yeah. Yeah, the Kieran Woods universe.
Yeah.
Like Marvel.
People fucking Sam Raimi.
Only
Sam Raimi would be like,
Marvel.
God, Sam Raimi, no offense, it'd probably be better than the Marvel films that are coming out.
Yeah, I agree with you there, actually. Yeah.
I want to use green screen.
Right, you would do your own stunts then, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I do all your martial arts moves like Jean-Claude Van Damme and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would I be? I would be like a Dolph Lundgren character, maybe.
No. You would be the pedophile that gets arrested that gets arrested in the opening scene.
No. I what the fuck? Wow. No. I would be. Look, I would be more of a Dolph Lundgren type character.
Lundgren. There's no L. There's no M in Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren, I said.
You said Lundgren.
No.
What's Lundgren?
You heard me wrong. I said Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren. I know Dolph Lundgren.
You're saying M. Listen to this when you play it back.
Wrong. It's
You're saying Lundgren.
I'm saying it with an N.
You're saying Lundrum. You're saying Lundrum. It's Lundgren.
Whatever. Who cares?
Dolph Lundgren.
Oh, right. Well, I'd have to double check that. But whatever.
You don't have to double check it. That's how you spell it.
Yeah, I know how you spell it, but it's how you pronounce it.
Dolph Lundgren.
Okay.
Lundgren.
Well.
Lundgren.
Okay.
We just went. Okay, we gotta end this.
Yeah, that's just. Yeah, it's too early in the morning for this shit. Really?
Fuck.
I'd like to go to work now.
God.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for giving us a shout. Yeah, we're done. Give us a shout at CitizenFrame_podcast on Instagram and of course Facebook. We are done and we're out of here. Next up, When Robots Go Bad month.
Eventually. At last.
No, that's definitely next. All right, guys. Take care of yourselves. We'll chat soon.